Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2. It's a super mini mail call, although not really a super mini mail call. Today's actually a wrap-up video for VCF Midwest 19. That was the one that just happened in Chicago, which I was able to go to. So let me just start off by saying that the event was absolutely amazing. I had a wonderful time, albeit very exhausting, but that's how it goes when I go to these events because there's so many people I want to meet and talk to. And that means that I'm socializing the entire time, basically until like 3 in the morning every night, and then getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day so I can get down to the show floor. And this year, for the first time ever, I actually had my own table. So I had some stuff on display. I was showing off the Field Found 64. I brought the Ziff 64. I bought Rammy. I brought the 70s towel, which is sitting behind me on my chair. And I brought the dead parts bin. So thank you for everyone who came up to me to talk to me and take a look at the stuff that I had on display. It was pretty fun actually having a table for the first time ever. I was able to have, a home base, so to speak, where people could come and find me, because in all the previous shows I've gone to, I just wandered around kind of aimlessly. And if you bumped into me, you bumped into me. And otherwise, there were plenty of times where people mentioned that they came to the show and they were looking for me and they weren't able to find me because I was probably somewhere else in the building or whatever. So on Saturday, which was the full day from 9 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m., it was an absolutely chocker-block day with basically a line of people there at all times to talk to me, which seemed to me like there were more people than ever that wanted to talk to me, which was really pretty awesome actually. It really validates that the work I'm doing putting into making these videos is at least making an impact and an impression on people, and they're enjoying the content and they come up to me and want to talk to me. What you're seeing here and probably at other parts in this video when I'm talking about VCF are pictures from this last event that happened just this past weekend, where viewers came up to me and asked for a picture, and I always ask people to send them in to me. So if you have attended VCF Midwest or any of the VCFs in the past and you haven't sent me the pictures, if you could please go down to the email address on my channel about page. You got to do that from your computer, by the way, not from a phone. For whatever reason, the phone app doesn't show the email address. Then you can send the email to me with the picture attached, and that would be most awesome. What I tend to do when I go to these events is I'm kind of overwhelmed with talking to people and meeting people that I really don't take very many pictures, if any at all, for myself. And then I also barely have any time to walk around the show floor to look at all the other exhibits. It feels like I missed so much stuff that was actually on display there. So I'm hoping that there are some other videos published showing everything that was on display at the show, because it would be really awesome to see some of this stuff since I didn't see it on my own. Now, even though I didn't really get around the show floor to see all the exhibitors, I did manage to see some of them, and I did bring home some of that stuff, and I have it in a box here on the floor. And also I have a bunch of stuff that people gave me that were viewers. So I want to show those things off in this video. And I have a feeling I'm going to have to split this up into 2 videos because there's some pretty cool stuff that I brought home here. Just some small things, because remember, I am flying, so I can't bring home big entire machines. But the cool things that I did bring home are worthy of more than just like a 2-second look, which is why I may need to split this up. But I guess I'll figure that out as I make this video, because I'm just sitting down for the first time right now to do the video, and that's how I do everything here. Unscripted, on everything. I don't even know what I'm doing. I just turn the camera on and I start talking. All right, so we're just gonna start off with just a few random little stickers and things like that, and then we'll move on to the actual items. First thing I wanna talk about is we have a sticker here for Taylor and Amy, the Taylor and Amy show, and I have a couple stickers here for the stop bits. Now, you might be wondering what the stop bits are outside of RS-232 serial. Well, it turns out that Taylor and Amy of the Taylor and Amy Show, Veronica from Veronica Explains, and Sean from Action Retro got together and formed a retro band. And yes, this is their website right here. And unfortunately, there's no content to download at this time. So you don't have any songs or videos to look at here, but they performed a set for us live after really only rehearsing, I think, 1 time before. And it was absolutely amazing. It was so incredible how good they were. It was all songs about these retro computers, which we all love. There were songs about the 6502 instruction set, which Taylor was the writer of the song and the singer and had memorized the entire instruction set. It was so epic. There was also a song about boot to basic, rip out the battery, as in the Varda, and so many more other good songs. So if you were at VCF and Saturday night you happened to have stayed for the concert, which I think started at 10 o'clock, I hope you also enjoyed the show as much as I did. If I hear more about the Stop Bits releasing some of their songs in a way that you can download or stream, I'll have to mention it, or maybe I'll attach a pinned comment to this video, because as I said, I was really in awe of the concert because the songs were so lovely, because it was all about this content that we all love. And we have to remember, the band members are all made up of YouTubers who do content like I do. They are not music channels normally, and yet they are also musically talented. So I just got to give a huge shout out to the band members here for an absolutely fantastic concert. And yeah, the Stop Bits, I got a sticker. So that's the only merch I have so far, but I am really looking forward to those songs being released on streaming. So hopefully everyone else who didn't get to attend the concert can enjoy them as well. And I really can't say enough about the VCF experience. And when you go to these events and you stay in the hotel, especially at the one in Chicago, because the Chicago event, the hotel is attached to the convention itself. It's just the same facility. It means that after the show ends every day, then everyone ends up in the lobby and is socializing until all hours. And it's just an amazing time to get to meet your fellow retro enthusiasts. And these are all people who come from all over the United States and all over the world for that matter. And you get to socialize and get to know them. It all makes it a little bit sad when it's over, because you end up going home back to your real life where you're not necessarily around all these people that are so into retro. Anyhow, okay, so that took me a long time to talk about that. Let's see what else we have here. This is one of the stickers from the actual festival itself, and I love it. It's in the deck style. This was left on my table, and this seems to be an ANSI BBS printout. So back in the day, you would connect up to an ANSI BBS, and you'd be on like a 2400 baud modem. And this says Chicago 2023, so I guess it was from last year. And with your modem, it would start drawing this, and then it would slowly scroll in, and you would see the entire graphic. And then at the end, you might have a login prompt or something like that. So I don't remember who gave this to me here. Oh yes, okay. These are two BBSs that are currently still online. So take a look at this. Never Neverland BBS and port 23, so Telnet of course, and 24beers.com, and that is a port number of LEET or 1337. I think this one here is either in Portland or in the Pacific Northwest, and then this one here is somewhere back east. So if you want to check out a cool or a couple cool, I think these are multi-user BBSs where you can do chatting and stuff like that, then why don't you connect up to those right now? Well, at least after the video. We got a sticker here from Joe, from Joe's Computer Museum. I got to meet Joe for the first time finally. That was really freaking awesome. And then we have a coaster here, Jeremy's Retro Bar. So youtube.com, Jeremy's Retro Bar. And Jeremy, of course, had plenty of snacks, cold snacks like booze and things like that. So we were all hanging out in the lobby area of the hotel, which is like until 3 in the morning. There were plenty of drinks to be had and lots of food. And it was such a wonderful time. I was sort of splitting my time between all sorts of different areas of the lobby and going up to a party that was happening on the top floor of the hotel as well. And yeah, that's why when I got home, I slept a lot. I needed to catch up on a lot of sleep. Who gave me this? I can't remember. Oh, obviously, this was Ian here, who makes the Pico Gus. So it's a Pico Gus inside sticker with that holographic effect, I guess, to stick onto your computer and the Intel inside look. Well, that's freaking awesome. Pippin Kickstart disc. So this is obviously a CDR, a little mini CDR with a tiny bit of data written to it. And the Pippin, if I recall, was some type of game system that had an Apple-based operating system on it. Like they, or whoever started this Pippin, worked with Apple and used like Mac OS on the back end. I don't think it looked like Mac OS on it, or maybe it did, because Apple released their own game console, or maybe it was the Pippin. I'm all getting a little confused with it. This stuff's a little bit newer than my normal, 8-bit wheelhouse. Quick interlude here while editing. So yes, the Pippin is a game console that was developed by Apple, or I guess a multimedia technology platform. Yep, kind of silly, but that was the buzzword of the day. There it is right there, and inside there is a Mac, I think. Yeah, sold in Japan from 95, North America from 96, discontinued in 97. $600, equivalent to $1,200 today. 42,000 units sold. Pippin OS, which was based on System 7.52, and it ran a PowerPC 603 at 66 megahertz. Looks like Apple partnered with the Japanese company Bandai to make this thing. And I do kind of recall seeing some videos on it, but I have never seen one of these in the wild. Looking at the titles that were released for this, wow, there was a number of them, mostly Japan, a few in North America here, edutainment title there. But look at all these Japanese titles. I can't imagine this system was particularly competitive with anything else on the market. Think about PC gaming at the time. This thing just could not have been competitive with everything else that was just about to come out. PlayStation was about to come out, and that was just going to dominate the home market. And not to mention, yeah, like the PC side of gaming, Windows 95, yeah, that was just exploding. So the wrong time this thing came out, and I think, well, the Mac was just never really well suited to games. It was good for multimedia, I guess, but there's the motherboard there. It looks very much similar to one of those Macintoshes, the motherboards. Yeah, interesting. I will have to check out this little business card. In fact, why don't we do that right now? I have a CD-ROM drive, which I can put this in. You cannot stick these into the slot load drives. Do not do that. The non-round ones. It will mess it up, I think. Okay, it sounds fine. Didn't sound like any crunchy noises or anything weird happening. This is a normal slot, or not a slot loading, but a tray loading drive here. So what's on here? There's the Pippin Kickstart here. Let's take a look at this. So I think it was Keith who gave this to me. I didn't catch your name, Keith. I'm sorry if that's the case. Now this obviously is a current web page we're looking at. This is not saved on the CD-ROM. All that was on there was just a shortcut. Pippin Kickstart, which I think is a copy of it on this disk here. And I'm assuming this allows you to use your Pippin. Maybe it, oh, the Power Macintosh, aka Pippin Prototype. Okay, so that's why this is all a little bit out of my wheelhouse, because yeah, Power, once you move to Power PC-based Macintoshes, like I know basically nothing. But I have one Power PC-based Macintosh, and it's a G4 Cube that someone gave me, and I've never shown it on the channel, I think, and I just have it in case I ever need to run something that's Power PC only. Of course, you can emulate that stuff now anyways. But yeah, this era of Macintosh was really just not to my liking. If this was the prototype for the Pippin game console, then it would have had a Power PC chip in there. And I guess this Kickstart does something around that. So I apologize for explaining it so badly. There's a lot of text here. But if you are really interested in knowing more about the Pippin Kickstart, then go Google for Pippin Kickstart and know that that this is here for you to check out. Anyhow, there we go. That's the Pippin toolbox. If you want to know more about it, just do a Google search for it. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description below. We got Canadian Computer Collector here, and a little sticker here, CCC. I met this person, and yep, the hair was quite a match for the sticker. I kind of love that. So there are the socials if you do want to check it out. If I won the lottery, I'd stop going to the bathroom. Okay, yes. And next up, I got a little cool care package here from the Retro Alcove. This looks like a little button, and yep, there's the button. We got a holographic sticker, and we have what I think is a magnet of Ariana there, the creator of the channel, and a little holographic sticker. And is this another magnet? That's another cool sticker with the holographic stuff going on. There it is, Made in Ariana, very cool. And a coaster. Sweet, thanks very much, Ariana, for that. And then next up we have this little thing here, the Mini WI, as in Wisconsin. Let's take a look at what this is. I don't remember who gave this to me. Like I said, I was in overload mode a little bit with just so much stuff going on. Made with love in Madison, Wisconsin. And a little cow here. It looks like it's 3D printed here. I have to admit that I met a lot of people, it seemed like a lot of people who came from Wisconsin to the show in Chicago. I also seem to have met a lot of Michigan people. So it seemed like when I would ask people where they were from, Wisconsin and Michigan, I got a lot of people from those two states. Although honestly, there were people coming from all over North America and beyond. I think there was someone from Australia. There was someone, or at least a few people who had flown in from the UK. There was someone from Iceland who I met last year as well. And I think there was someone from Sweden. And then there's another person that came from Switzerland. So it's pretty amazing that people come from all around. Although I swear I was like the only person there, or at least the only person that I knew of that was from Portland. There were definitely people from California, and there was someone there, Joe was there from Seattle. But yeah, it seemed like from the Portland contingency, we were not representing, and I was the only person there. What's the deal with that, everyone? People in Portland, you gotta get yourself out to VCF Midwest for future shows, because it is absolutely a blast. All right, I think that's it for the miscellaneous stickers and business cards and stuff like that. So if you weren't too bored and you're still watching, then let's get to some of the actual items. All right, so our first little package here, this comes from Goja and Jacek of AmericanRetro.shop. Now, I met Jacek and his lovely wife Goja in the past, I think at VCF in New Jersey, maybe 2 years ago or a year ago, I can't remember. And Jacek and his wife run an awesome store and have a table at these events where Jacek sells all sorts of cool projects that are either fully assembled or you can buy them in kit form. And these are things that are really difficult to assemble on your own in kit form, like the Retro Chip Tester Pro. We'll take a look at the website in a second. Actually, let's do that right now, and then we'll take a look at what's in this little box. So here's the website, AmericanRetro.shop. And Jacek and his wife are from Poland, so they brought with them, you know, in their mind that is, all their love of the ZX Spectrum and stuff like that. So there's plenty of ZX Spectrum things, and if you look at the products that are available, there's plenty of things for the Commodore, there are lots of custom-made dust covers, and then lots of ZX Spectrum products. And it's cool is when you go to these events, like at VCF, it's not easy to find stuff, well, in North America that is, you can't really find a lot of stuff for the ZX Spectrum. So it's really cool that Jacek had all this stuff available to buy, and there was a price list, which I had a copy of, and I don't know what I did with it, of all the stuff that was available at the show. But yeah, there's like the keyboard covers and the keyboard membranes themselves, plus, well, the button parts, there's a honky horn outside, and then the membranes as well, and all the goodies you need to make your Spectrum work again. So yeah, different cases and stuff like that, including these cool keyboard PCBs that have LEDs in them. And so you can have your whole Spectrum keyboard light up. It's pretty darn sweet. But what's really cool is Jacek sells the Retro Chip Tester Pro here, and you can get them either fully assembled, I think it's like around $500 or $550, or you can get it in kit form for like $300 and something and build it yourself. It's a lot of work to build, and even from a kit form, to assemble all the parts required to make one of these is so much work. But really, even the $200 extra to have it built by Jacek is kind of worth it. I mean, it depends how much you value your time, because it's hours and hours of work. I think I'd say it was 8 hours of work, of my time at least, putting one of these together. Mine totally worked, but honestly, if you made a mistake somewhere and you had a problem, well, you're in for a world of hurt. Now, all this stuff is available to buy. Oh, there's the kit itself. All this stuff is available to buy online, but if you go to one of the VCFs and Jacek and his wife are going to be there, then you can get it from them directly. And Jacek has a bunch of Commodore products as well. Oh, look at this. Yeah, so you can buy the mechanical keyboards for the Commodore 64. Pretty darn sweet. Yes, I don't remember seeing that. So the back plates and the parts and stuff like that, Kung Fu Flash. I remember on the price list at VCF Midwest, there was like replacement power supplies, Kung Fu Flashes, just all sorts of, there's a replacement power supply, just all sorts of awesome stuff. So let's see what's inside this little care package from Goja and Jacek. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. Polish is definitely not one of my stronger suits. Oh, we got some Polish candy. Oh, so Jacek told me that the candies that were in here were brought all the way from Krakow by Goja, and that is so cool. Made in Poland, it says right there. Okay, we gotta try one of these. Let's see what it looks like. There's a picture of a cow on it, so we know it's like a delicious, ooh, it looks like caramel or something. Okay, here we go. Let's taste this. Oh yeah, that's really good. It's very much like a similar taste profile to a Werther's candy, if you ever had one of those. Those are pretty common in North America here and in the UK, I think. I don't know where else you can buy those. But unlike those, okay, the fly again is back. You need to go away already, Rami. Take care of the fly. Anyhow, but these are not super sticky like normal caramel and has a really nice soft chewy profile. So really, really freaking delicious. Okay, well, so besides these awesome candies, thank you very much, Goja, for bringing those back for me. We got a business card here. I heart the Retro Chip Tester Professional. And there's their company right there, and based in Riverhead, New York. I think that's maybe on Long Island. And what do we got here? Oh, we got a couple SIDKicks. Ah, that's freaking awesome. I don't have a SIDKick yet. This is actually my first SIDKick. So you might be wondering, what exactly is the SIDKick? Well, the SIDKick is a replacement SID for the 64, but this kind of promises to blow the doors off everything else because it uses a Raspberry Pi Pico. So we're talking about an RP2040, very, very inexpensive. And then, well, there's two versions, and the one I just opened here was the DAC version. Okay, so I think there's a DAC on the board itself, like some of these extra ICs, that will convert the digital output of this into a very good, clear audio signal. And the other one says PWM on it, and I'd have to go look up the difference between these. Now, this is a fully open source project, so you can make these yourself. But if you're looking just to buy one, then Jacek's shop here, AmericanRetro.shop.com, has you covered. I didn't see it on the website though, so maybe this is something that's new and only at the shows. It was on the price list for the show. So if we look at the difference between these, let's turn these into the same orientation. So notice we have extra IC. Okay, can you get in focus, camera? Yeah, there we go. Looks like there's an extra IC there, and this one here. What are you doing, camera? Really? What are you doing? Maybe I need to point with something other than my fingers. It kind of screws up the camera. So yeah, extra ICs. I think this is the DAC that will do that conversion potentially better. Now notice there's no audio output, I don't think. It's like there's no headphone jack on these. I'd have to go read up on how these work exactly because I think these support stereo sound. Can we get a closer look at this? Yeah, let's see here. Version 0.2 DAC Pico 2024. And this one here is 0.2 as well. I'm wondering if well, how do you get the stereo audio off of these? Do you take off these pins here? But what about on the DAC version? I think these are extra address lines you have to connect up if you want to use the second SID. And oh, here we go. There's the audio output right there. I mean, I'm like, oh, I don't see how you get the audio out. There's freaking pins right there. Notice the nice small pins that are used here on the part that goes in your motherboard. That means it will not damage the SID socket. They are fragile, and notice this one has a slight bend in it. So I'm just gonna try to correct that really quick. You have to be very careful because these will break off if you are not careful. So I'm just gently gonna twist this into shape. I think that's good enough like that. Everything else is okay? Yes, it is. This one has the pins on it as well. So I don't know what these extra pins are used for there. Well, we have the extra address lines, and then we have the extra audio output for the stereo sound. I absolutely love this project because of the cheapness of these boards. The carrier board here, which holds the Pi, it doesn't have too many ICs, especially if you get the non-DAC version here, right? Like this one. These are probably level shifters there. Yeah, we see that. They are 74 CBTO 3861s. I'm not really even familiar with what that is. But up until this point, there were a couple alternatives. The ARM SID and well, there's more than just those alternatives. There was like the old Swin SID, which is an AT Mega Base product. I totally recommend don't ever use one of those. Those are no good. But then the later ones like the ARM SID and the FPGA SID had better reproduction of the SIDs, especially the FPGA SID, but it was pretty expensive. There was an open source version of that being worked on. I know I have one around and I haven't really covered it. It's like the ICE SID, I think it was called. I can never remember the exact name. It was like there were two projects. There was one that did the software side and one that did the hardware side. But the thing about this one is RP2040s, especially if a new version of this is made that integrates the RP2040 directly onto the board, we're talking this entire thing could be made for like $4 maybe? I mean, depending on how much, you know, the hand soldering costs for the pins. That's the point that's gonna have to be done by hand. But yeah, if you integrate the Raspberry Pi Pico stuff right onto the board with the USB jack, I think for programming, you know, we're talking a very, very inexpensive SID. And I think the code this is running is very similar to the code that's used in, say, Vice. So it's very, very good and a close approximation of the real thing. So we're gonna need to test those momentarily so we can hear how good these sound. So that was it. Thank you very much, Jacek, for that. Like I said, I don't have any of these SIDs. So let me bust out the ZIF64, which did make its way all the way to Chicago in my checked luggage and back without suffering any damage. And then let's pop the SID out of this thing and we'll pop these in and we'll see how they sound. So I was really glad when I got this thing to Chicago, it still worked. And when I got it home, it was still working as well. No issues whatsoever. Okay, so here's the SID, the regular AR4 version. Let's start with this version right here, which does not have the DAC, so the PWM version. There is a notch there in the silk screen on the bottom side. Obviously on the top side, it's covered up, so you can't see it. So you just gotta be careful to get this in correctly. You know, this may not work because of the size of it. Let's see. There we go. The little arm here makes this kind of difficult to get this in, but I think we're okay. There we go. And there's a little cap here. Oops, I'll just bend those over rudely. Now, obviously, the nice thing about these SID replacements, they work in any 64, even ones that, even short boards and long boards and whatever else. And the reason why that matters is because the voltage that the SID runs out is different on the SID, on the long board or the short board. So you don't want to interchange. Like I can't put this SID here into a short board, it just won't work. And if you take a short board SID and put it into this one, it will get damaged. But these don't use those high voltage pins. They're just running off 5 volts. So you never have an issue. We got to plug in the audio here so we can do a capture, plus we'll hear the sound. And we're going to grab the Kung Fu Flash cartridge here and pop that in. And we turn this thing on. Okay. Oh, that was obviously the last thing I was running. Yeah, I was doing some testing at the show, running the machine in PAL. Where's the keyboard? Here it is, right here. Let's plug the keyboard in, and we got to exit out, and we're going to run the SID player. I guess we'll start with the 8-bit dance party. No, maybe we won't. I don't even know what I want to do here. Okay. Hey, that's odd. I don't know what happened there. That's what it does when the reset circuit's not working. Usually happens in the Rev A board, but this is obviously not a Rev A board. All right, so what I probably need to do is download the SIDKick utility, because there's got to be a program to configure the SIDKick, depending on like which SID you want to emulate and things like that. But I think what we should do is I just want to see if it's even working in the state. Maybe it's not even programmed right now. But if that's the case, I don't have it set up for a second SID, so we're not even going to do that kind of testing. Well, let's just try Cybernoid 2 here. All right, sounds working. Right, so that's cool. It just works right off the bat. Now, it may well be programmed for to operate as like an 85 whatever that SID is. That's the one from the short board. And the sound is different between that and the 6581 that's on the bread bins. So what we need to do is go to the GitHub repo for the SIDKick, and we need to download the configuration utility for it. Now, I'm assuming here, maybe I should flash the firmware as well. Oh, this is actually from 2023, so I don't think that matters. But we're going to need the toolkit. So let's grab this. And looking around the zip file here, I just assumed that this would actually have a program to run on the Commodore 64 to configure it, but that does not appear to be the case. This is all programming stuff. And we go to PRG launcher, and there's Mac and Windows, and the SIDKick launcher. Well, I guess I should read the documentation a little bit. I've never played with a SIDKick before. I don't really know much about it, but here we go. Here are the features. Dual 6581 and or 8580, and it can do either or. It's based on ReSID. I think ReSID was that FPGA open source one that's coming out or is being worked on. So not the closed source FPGA SID replacement. The ReSID was part of the ICE-SID project, which would allow it to be fully open source, but it's still FPGA based, which meant it was much more expensive than this incredibly cheap RP2040. Second SID addresses can be any of those things. Sound expander / FM emulation based on FM OPL added. Wow. So you can do OPL emulation on the 64 as well. It does support paddle and mouse support, which is freaking awesome. Built-in configuration that launched with sys54301. All right. Built-in PRG launcher, 10 different profiles, on-the-fly switching, MIDI interface emulation, breakout connector. I mean, this thing is freaking awesome. And the sound output is via some teensy MQS PWM or high quality using this DAC, filters and optional op amp. So that must be the difference between the op amp or the PWM version of this and the DAC version that we have here. There's the built-in configuration tool, tells you how to build it. You can, of course, order all these parts yourself and have it built from like PCBWay or JLPCB. They can do the assembly. So the little small PCB, not the Pi Pico itself, but the small one that plugs in the board, you can have them assemble with all the SMD parts, and all you have to do is add the pins. And I actually had that in my shopping cart with the PCBWay, and I never clicked the buy button. So you can do that. There are plenty of bombs out there. I'm sure they're on this GitHub repo here to get your own. All right, let's run the configuration utility here that was built in. So sys54301. Sys54301. There we go. Oh, that is so cool. So it was running in 8580 mode, and I'm assuming we can change this somehow. How do we change this? 6581. I don't know what Digiboost is. Well, I'm most used to 6581, so that's what we're going to set it to. What were the other options here? Yeah, just 6581. Okay. Digiboost, I think, might increase the volume of the digital sound that the SID can make. And the digital sound is a hack on the SID. So it uses, like, I think, changing the volume, and it makes a click. And if you do that quickly enough, like even when no sound is playing, then you get equivalent of PCM sound. We don't have the wires hooked up for the second SID, so it can be an 8580, or it can be, of course, all the other versions, and we're just gonna set that to none. It lets you set up the address. We gotta hook up those extra address lines which aren't plugged in. You can set the volume, we can set the width and the balance, and then it's telling us here, I'm assuming this is not configurable. It is configurable. It must be a parameter that is used for configuring the engine inside the SIDKick, I guess. So Dreen is a Commodore that was sold in Brazil. It's kind of like a, I think it was called the Dreen with an N, 64, and it runs at a slightly different clock speed, as you can see. So the PAL machines run at that, less than 1 megahertz, the NTSC a little bit over a megahertz, and the Dreen machine is actually a little bit faster. So we're gonna leave that on NTSC. That will affect the pitch and everything of the notes that are produced. This has to do with the joystick, or the paddle support, I'm sorry, or the mouse support. I'm just gonna leave that. And I guess we can pick different emulation engines. Oh, I keep going the wrong way. Digidetect and resid. Okay, well, I don't know. This looks all fine to me. What does this files do? Well, first we're gonna hit save. Oh, there's actually a built-in SID we can listen to. Exit, profile's not saved. Right, this is so freaking cool. Okay, let's exit out of here, back to settings. All right, so this is a built-in song. Now, I don't know this file at all. It might be a stereo file. We're actually missing half the file for all I know, but I don't know it, so there's no point for me to listen to it other than, it sounds like a SID tune. I don't know if it's like a correct rendering of it versus a real SID. It's actually pretty sweet, and I had no idea you could run an entire freaking program from the SID socket. So we have to remember that the SIDKick is plugged into the SID socket, and we're running software right out of the SID socket. I had no idea that was even possible. That is freaking awesome. So what I'm gonna do now is, now that it's configured for the 6581 mode, then what we can do is we can pick some of the 6581 SIDs that I'm used to listening to, and then I can make an assessment if these sound good or not. And I'm sure it does. Okay, so that one doesn't sound exactly the same as the real thing. Let me plug in my old SID again here, and I want you to hear what that little intro there sounds like, because it's not bad at all, but it's not the same. And so if you really want to have a, an exact experience, specifically listen to that sound like that you hear. It's totally different on the real SID. Right, okay, well, that sounds similar, except for that noise channel, which I think is what's making that kind of sound. So, yep, that's like where the emulation is not exact, but, what are you gonna do? It's not a real SID, this is a digital representation. Now, this is the non-DAC version. Let's try Ode to 64. Now, I have the real SID in here. Let's just listen to this for a second. I'll switch back to this one, and then we'll switch over to the DAC version. Let's see how this goes. Ode to 64. Right, so that song has a bunch of like flanger effects and, you know, lots of filters are being used. Let's switch to the SIDKick here. I'll switch back to the PWM one first. Right, okay, well there's quite a substantial difference between the sound of the original SID there, 6581, I think AR4 is this chip right here, and the SIDKick there. Is it bad sounding? No. Was I noticing any like huge issues with the sound? No, but quite different. It didn't feel nearly as sort of full, and there was a lot more, what's the right word, like texture in the original SID there. You might have to go back and listen to both to hear that, but it just wasn't as full sounding, at least through the speakers I have it hooked up here. You're going to be listening to a direct capture when you're watching the video. So I'm going to swap into this this DAC version here. Maybe this will be different, although I doubt it. I doubt fundamentally these are going to sound any different. And I don't think there's a fundamental difference with the sound because they're both using the same ReSID engine here. And that means that, you know, it's just the output quality when it comes to the sound might be different, but if we're going through the motherboard and the video cable and there's going to be noise there picked up. So you can ignore that and know it'll be a bit better sounding when you actually have it hooked up directly to the board through those little connectors that are on the top of it. All right, here we go. There's no sound. Oh, you know what? I just realized that the GitHub repo that I was looking at was for the SIDKick for the Teensy, which was an older version. That's a little confusing. I completely forgot that there's two versions of it and I didn't quite catch that. So here it is, SIDKick Pico. This is the one that I should have been looking at. SIDKick Pico. And yeah, the Teensy, by the way, is a pretty powerful microcontroller, a lot more powerful than I think the RP2040. It just costs a lot more, which I think is the nice thing about the 2040 version here, is it's much less expensive. Is there anything different about this one? I mean, obviously the sys command is the same. It does say here that you can actually load programs right into the SID. PRGs can be integrated into the firmware or flashed from the configuration. So I can load the 8-bit dance party like right into the SID itself. That's pretty cool. I don't think I caught that on the Teensy version. I assume that's the same. So we have 3 hardware variants. Fully integrated all feature variants. It's the SK Pico 2040 DAC, an interface board for PWM mono through the C64 mainboard and or stereo through the separate DAC. And an interface board with onboard DAC output through the C64 mainboard or line out. I don't fully understand that. All right, here's the audio output section. The PWM sound is output via the SID socket. If you use the optional DAC module, you can directly get the stereo audio digital from the audio jack or the connector on the PCB. Hint, you can also connect the DAC output to the video audio connector on the C128 pin 3. That's the standard audio output. Pin 7 is often used for the second audio channel. If you do so, use the firmware that does not output PWM. All right, so there are different firmwares. It looks like PWM only sound. There's also PWM plus DAC. See, it's my assumption that if you have the DAC on board, which we definitely do with this one here, the extra little DAC chip is right there, it should still output from the motherboard. Okay, here we go. To output sound via the SID socket, you need to close solder jumpers. The one marked the L output left channel through pin 27, closed for left channel. Yeah, and those solder bridges are not there. So that means that, yeah, this outputs audio right now only through the connector here. And it looks like it's telling you the reason why you wouldn't want to route through the motherboard is then you're going to introduce all the noise, video signal and stuff like that that's on the motherboard. So typically you would leave those off and you would connect some cables directly up to the pins here going out the motherboard to give you that full stereo sound. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this one back in and I'm going to just use some clip leads and we'll clip onto the input here, this cable right here, which goes to my speakers and it goes to the audio capture device as well. All right, clip leads are going from the left connector to the input to the speakers and the capture device and all that stuff. Let's turn this on and let's try Ode to 64 again. What happened? Oh, I think this is a problem with my machine here. Hold on a second. There's an issue with this computer sometimes. I think that's what was going on there. Let's try that again. The problem, I think, is this player must use this particular CIA here, and there's something wrong with the socket on this motherboard. And if I move the chip around in the socket, it kind of starts to work again. I think it's like a bad joint, or there's something wrong in the socket itself. It's not the chip, because I can swap these around, and it has these types of issues as well. So I don't know. Obviously, it's hilarious sounding. So yeah, nothing's wrong with the SIDKick itself. Let's try it again. And this time you're going to hear direct capture. I gotta say that this version sounds substantially better than the other one. I really do think that that's the case. And I'm gonna put back in the original SID, and I just wanna hear for my own ears the difference there. But yeah, that's a difference, all right. Well, okay, so yes, I think the DAC version of the SIDKick sounds a lot better than the non-DAC version. I also feel that they sound substantially different with that song than the original 6581 AR4, at least. Substantially different. It's not bad, like I said earlier. I'm not hearing any notes that are completely out of tune or not playing correctly. It's just that a lot of the magic of what makes the original SID so cool are all of those analog filters that are inside the chip. And that's what these really good SID tunes use to great effect, to create all these awesome sounding, instruments. And that, unfortunately, is where a lot of these emulation things fall down. I'm wondering if I have another SID handy here. I thought I had some sitting off the side. This little box here has some PLA chips in it. Oh, here we go, here we go. Here are some of the SIDs here. Oh, let's see here. Or what are these exactly? All right, well, we have the ARM SID. This is the redip SID. So this is the FPGA version that's running code very similar to this, although I haven't updated this in a long time. So this is where the code that's on here comes from this particular project. This right here, what is this? Okay, yeah, this is a Swin SID. So if you want to hear how horrible the AT Mega SIDs are, let's pop this in. This is turning into a full-on SID episode, isn't it? Yeah, that's why I knew that this would end up being multiple parts here. Okay, the notch goes up. Play, okay, let's go play Ode to 64 again. Hear how it sounds. Well, okay, it's not as bad as I kind of remember it sounding. It's different once again, but it's also not sounding super great either. So let's try out the ARM SID next. Let's just play the next, that same file again with ARM SID. Wow, That one might be the closest yet to that original SID, actually. That's really impressive. I'm kind of blown away by that. I forgot. It's been a while since I've used that one. And let's try out this one next. I need to find the notch. I'm assuming this is going to sound exactly like the SIDKick, or very, very similar to it. Oh, it's got a little blue LED on there that you can't see because this is out of view. All right, well, that SID, I gotta give a caveat that the firmware that's on there is like a year or two old, so probably sounds very different now. This one almost has a more metallic digital sound to it than the ARM SID does, or the original SID does. And it definitely sounds different than these SIDKicks do, even though I think they're based on the same sound engine. I guess overall, I don't really know what to say. There's also the FPGA SID, which I know I have one of. I just haven't shown it yet. Someone was sent it on a mail call like 2 years ago, and I'm so behind on the mail calls that I haven't gotten to it. But of all of these, with that one song, the ARM SID, which I don't know if this has even updatable firmware, or this uses some kind of like ARM Cortex processor on here to do the heavy lifting. Obviously, this also has an ARM Cortex on here, the Pi Pico. I don't know how similar these are. This is not open source. The ARM SID is not open source. I don't know what it's doing, but it sounds quite similar, at least to my actual SID chip here. But the SIDKick, on the other hand, it doesn't sound as good as I'd hoped. I hoped I would put it in there and be like, it's just like the real thing. Like, I can't even tell the difference when I pick 6581. Now keep in mind though, that different SIDs sound different. And I wonder if I have another SID just sort of sitting over to the side here. Yeah, here's one. And this is a 6581, but it's not an AR4. Let's do the final test here by popping this in. And hopefully it's working. It doesn't have a check mark on it or anything, so it might be bad. Well, sounds different again, and you notice how that one has like distortion sound in it, but that particular SID with those filters applied does give kind of a distortion effect there, quite a bit. And if we just go back to my original SID, we'll do one last test here, and just to hear the difference that even between SIDs, there can be quite a marked difference. Here we go. So no distortion on that one at all. Really crisp sound, but also very full, lots of bass and lots of like fullness to the overall sound. Really pleasing, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I really like the 6581 AR4s when you're looking at 6581 SIDs. But there is quite a difference, and I guess the very last thing to do, we've sort of been going back and forth here, is let's go back to the SIDKick, and I need to put the right one in, the one with the DAC. And then we're gonna do an 8-bit dance party. Okay, here we go. We ready for a dance party? Hopefully we have working sound. I think I got the clip leads on there correctly. you know, I'm just gonna go real quick back to the other SID because it didn't quite sound like I would hope it would sound. It was a little, I don't know what the right word is. There was a bit of choppiness to it, I guess is the right word. I just want to hear if that's just not my memory or what. Let's make sure there's no clip lead sitting on the motherboard there. Let's try that again. All right, no, between the Donkey Kong 64 theme song there, which is what that music is you're listening to, they sound the same. I'm not sure I could even tell the difference. They're both really clear, full, good sounding. Yeah, the DAC version of the SIDKick is definitely the way to go. I don't know how much more expensive it is, but I think it's worth it for the improved sound quality. It's definitely a better overall sound. Clearly the way the notes are being played and that stuff is the same, but the actual output quality is different, and wow, is it clean. There's like no noise, no pops, no clicks, nothing like that coming out of it when you're connected directly up to the SIDKick directly. So there we go, that's the SIDKick. Thanks very much Jacek for giving these to me, and Goja for getting me these awesome Polish candies. And it's really cool to have these, and I'm looking forward to firmware updates and stuff that may come out with these. And you know, to be honest, when I looked at the firmware release, it was the teensy version. Maybe there's some newer versions of the firmware for these that, you know, improve the sound quality or whatever, at least to Ode to 64. I will try to put a link to Ode to 64 down in the description below on CSDB if you want to hear that SID tune for yourself. I find it really, really good at showing the differences between different SIDs because it really pushes the SID with all those awesome flanger, however you say that, effects on that kind of, I don't know, guitar part or whatever it's trying to emulate there. And I guess with my little impromptu comparison, the ARM SID here, that sounds the best out of all of these, at least the closest to the AR4 SID that I love. But even this 6581 here, a real deal from MOS here that I don't think is bad, even though there's no check mark on it, well, it sounded kind of weird and distorted. Now that's going to be with that particular song. I'm sure it's perfectly fine with other songs, but that just sort of shows you that there's a big variance from one SID to another. But I also felt the two real SIDs sounded closer together than the SIDKicks did from my real SID that I keep in this machine. So there you go. Thanks again, Jacek and Goja, for giving me that stuff. And boy, I went on long enough for just this one item, and there's still a ton more. So let me quickly get through some more stuff. And like I said, there'll be a part 2 to this video. All right, so next up, we have a box of floppies. Don't have too much to say about these other than the cool color-coded ones made by InMac, International Standard. And they come in red, blue, green, yellow, and orange. This box has a plastic case and is shrink wrapped. And I wish I could remember who gave me these discs. Now this VCF, when someone gave something to me, I usually ask them to write their name, because I had some Sharpies with me, on the item. And that wasn't the case here. And well, either that or I'd get a photo with them with their badge visible. And it seems like in this case, I don't have a photo and I don't have anything written on here. So I apologize that I don't recall who it was. So whoever gave me these awesome rainbow discs here, you just sort of push right there, and a little cool flip up lid, I do appreciate it. They are very, very, very nice. Absolutely brand new, never touched since they were manufactured. And I just love it. So of course we're dealing with double-sided, double-density, soft sector discs made in the USA. So soft sector means there's only one index hole per revolution. And if you have hard sector discs, you can tell that by spinning these around. You can see the one hole there. It will not appear again until you do a full revolution. Hard sector discs will have those all the way along, and then there's two closer together. I think that's how it is. It's pretty sweet that the companies were trying to branch out and make the disc a little bit more interesting with awesome colors and stuff like that. I saw some like over the years that were in even other cool shades of colors. And this is a reminder, everyone, if you have floppy disks, don't store them in really hot environments. I know this has a wide range right here, but ultimately you should really be storing these around 20 degrees Celsius, not in these really high temps or cold temps. It means the disc won't last nearly as long. Don't bend them, don't touch the disc, don't shoot them with a magnet, don't stick them in the drive, or just insert carefully and protect them when not in use, and of course put a sticker on it when you want to protect it. And with these floppies, we got a little pack of labels which have the matching freaking colors. It would have been cool if the Protect sticker were also matching colors. Lost opportunity there, lost opportunity. Anyhow, there we go. Brand new box of discs, just like the old days. And you go to the store and spend a fortune because these discs wouldn't have been cheap when they were new. And well, someone held on to them and never used them. And now I have them. So thank you very much, whoever gave these to me. All right, we're gonna go through some cool random stuff here. So one of my viewers came up to me and wanted to give me some cash money, that is, and I refused. I said, oh, no, that's totally not necessary. So they offered to go get me one of the shirts, which I did not reserve or buy. So yeah, here we go. Here is the Vintage Computer Festival shirt, the VCF Midwest shirt from the 19th annual one that's been happening, the 19th. So pretty cool. These came in brown and black, and unfortunately, by the time my viewer went to go get this for me, I think all the brown ones were gone in large, which is my size. So therefore, yep, this is a large. I got the black one. And thank you very much to whoever gave this to me. I also did not catch your name, and it's not written down anywhere, and I don't have a photo with you. You gave it to me and then hurried off very quickly. And then we have a Commander X16 shirt. This was given to me by David Murray, so thank you very much, David. David and Leslie were at the booth just, well, 2 over from me. And David asked if I wanted a shirt at the end, and I said, sure, take a Commander X16 one. So there we go. And now we got some awesome freaking mouse pads. So this one comes from this user here. I assume that's maybe Twitter or Discord or something like that. I'm not quite sure how to say that. But as you can see, what we're looking at here is a replica Gateway 2000 mouse pad. Apparently, all the originals, which were bundled with every Gateway 2000 computer, have disintegrated at this point. So these are newly made replicas. Could I tell you where to buy one of these for yourself? No, I could not. But I assume if you just use the Google, you'll find these for sale. So if you want to relive the old days with a brand new, non-falling apart mouse pad, you can do so. So thank you very much, Kranos, for giving me one of those. That is really awesome. I never had a Gateway computer, but of course I really remember the brand, and it's pretty cool to see in one of these old mouse pads again. Next up, we have some more mouse pads, and these come from Steve, Mac84, picture inserted here. Yeah, Steve is a freaking awesome person, and he is so damn nice. And among all these other things he was selling, he had these mouse pads, and he offered them to me, and of course I wasn't going to say no, because this is so great. SID happens. Stuff it, right? This is a Mac compressed file extension. And look at this one's broken, corrupted. So you go, SID happens. Of course, that's a expression for, you know, in English where you're saying something else with an H in there. And it's a curse word and all. I won't say it because, you know, family friendly and all that. But I thought that that was absolutely hilarious. So thank you very much for that, Steve. I'll put a link down to Steve's web store where you can buy these yourself. And the other one is Feelin' Scuzzy, which I love as well. So much innuendo in that. So yeah, you'll be able to buy both of these. And yeah, the picture I had there is Steve holding both of these. Steve, thanks for being so awesome and so cool and for giving me these 2 mouse pads. All right, next up is another piece of, well, like clothing, not really clothing, actually. This one is a hand towel. It comes from Ron at Ron's Computer Videos. I wasn't at my table when Ron dropped this off, so thanks, Ron. I didn't get to thank you personally. This is actually sewed in there, so that should stay in there really well. It's just a hand towel, so I can have Ron in my bathroom, and I can dry my hands when I wash my hands on Ron. That is Ron, in case you're wondering. So Ron, that is awesome. Thanks very much. I assume you're selling this on your store, so I will link to that down below. All right, next up, oh, this was my badge here from the VCF Festival. So there's that brown color that I was talking about for the t-shirt. And yep, Adrian Black, exhibitor, blah, blah, blah. And you know, all the usual stuff that goes on here. There was some phone numbers and things to call. And the free pile should not contain uncool printers, and it should not contain broken CRTs, and it definitely shouldn't contain anything organic. I hardly had an opportunity to look at the free pile while I was there. I did peruse it a couple times very quickly, but honestly, I didn't want to like take stuff to have to bring home. But I went around on Sunday after the show was over and I asked everyone, what did you get in the free pile? And there was all sorts of cool things that were in there. You have to think the free pile is not just junk. This is stuff that, you know, people come to the show and maybe they were trying to sell and they couldn't sell, so they didn't want to bring it home with them, so they just put it in the free pile. So it might be completely something that's great, or they might be a collector that just has too much stuff and they couldn't be bothered to sell it and they just wanted to go to a good home, so they put it in the free pile. Case in point, someone told me they found an HP 9000 like workstation in the free pile. Another person told me they got an Apple II GS RGB monitor in the free pile. I personally brought some Mac LC motherboards that probably worked. I think they just need a recap. I had a bunch of extra ones that someone gave me. I just put those in the free pile, plus some other ISA cards and stuff like that. And it was turning over so quick. There was like 5 or 6 tables with just free stuff on the floor, stuff on the tables. And I'd go over there and people would tell me, oh, I was here 20 minutes ago and it was all different stuff. So literally it was like fresh, free stuff constantly. Tons of monitors, tons of TVs, tons of computer, tons of PC parts. Someone showed me a really cool post analyzer card, like a boxed one from the 90s, I guess. It was an IBM ISA card, manuals. It had like the entire box and everything. It was just there in the free pile. The card was in there. It was just brand new. Tons of stuff like that. So yeah, if you ever go to these events, the free pile is absolutely awesome. And I do recommend, if you have stuff you want to give away, bring it, put it in the free pile, allow other people to benefit from it, and then help yourself to other stuff that's in the free pile, and check often apparently. Okay, next up we have these boards here. Now this came from a viewer and fan, Des7, it says here. But Des, I think, is really big in the ZX Spectrum, or sorry, the ZX81 Timex Sinclair community, because I did a quick Google search and I found lots of posts by Des talking about all these various Timex machines. Now what this is, we have a couple different versions here, I think, well, 2 versions. We have 2 PCBs here. And I think they're the same thing from my understanding. These are replicas of the ZX81 and the Timex Sinclair in-store demo. So I think the way these worked originally is you didn't necessarily have this connected right to the board. You would have a ribbon cable and then plug in the back of the computer. And then what this would do is you have this off to the side in a little box or whatever. It had a ROM in there and it would give you some demonstration software on the ZX81. Remember, the ZX81 Timex Sinclair, it didn't have a disk drive. It loaded everything off tape. So in a store environment, that's not ideal for showing off like its graphics capability and its capabilities, right? So having it all ROM based was a great way to do that. I think there were some games and stuff on there. I did check this out, and the original store demo is extremely rare, but the ROM has been dumped and a replica PCB has been manufactured, so you can just populate the board with the TTL chips here and flash the ROM, or load a ROM, an EPROM that is, pop this in the back of the computer, and I think, I have to go look it up, but with the connector in the board like I have it here, it's not soldered, it's just stuck in there. You can plug this in the back of the computer, and then you can totally experience the store demonstrator again. And that's pretty cool. This will have to be for a future project for me to build up. I actually have a Timex Sinclair 1000 that was given to me by a viewer. It's over there, and it doesn't work. So that's going to be a future repair episode. The one thing that my viewer Des told me is that I just have to shave off the edges here to make this fit. And I think the original connector that plugged in the back of the computer obviously didn't have this structural reinforcement part here, so I'll just have to make that happen. And it's cool to meet people who are into machines like the Timex Sinclair 1000 or the ZX81. Those machines don't really get a lot of love, right? Let's just say that they are very inexpensive computers and their capabilities, because of their cheap price when they were released, are very minimal. But for a lot of people, that was the gateway drug that got them into computers. And because they were so inexpensive and so simple, while they were difficult to use with that terrible keyboard and all those things, it was still pretty cool. I think a lot of people have very, very fond memories of them. I personally never had one. My first computer was a VIC-20, but I knew multiple people who did have them. And I do have Timex Sinclair 1000s, which is the North American version, which same as the ZX81 and the rest of the world. And they are nifty. I do like the idea of them. I just wish the keyboard was a little less terrible. And obviously the ZX Spectrum, which was immensely popular in the UK, and just unbelievable amount of programmers got their start on that machine. That was the successor to the ZX81. It really was an evolution of that ZX81 or Timex Sinclair 1000. It just added the color, but very similar, otherwise basic, and the form factor was a bit bigger, better keyboard and stuff. But yeah, that's just, you can see the direct lineage of the ZX Spectrum from the ZX81. And yeah, it's cool that there's people still making new stuff for those machines to this day, and this is no exception. So I'm probably going to stick this with the Timex Sinclair. So when I get to building that or fixing that thing, then maybe I can build this thing up and we can actually see the store demonstrator demo running on an actual computer. So very cool. Thank you very much for giving this to me. I do know I got a photo with this viewer who gave me these boards, but I haven't received that in my email yet. So just a reminder to anyone who got pictures of me, if you haven't yet sent it in, please do that. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, next up we got some candy here. And there's a whole bunch here. So we have some maple candies, or bonbon, which is the word for candy in French. Super delicious. I have no idea how easy it is to buy these outside of Canada. You see them around the US as well, because there's lots of maple trees here, and they do harvest a lot of maple syrup from the trees in like the northeast of the US. These are actually made in Quebec here, and there is a website there if you want to check that out for yourself. They are, of course, very sugary. It looks like 3 candies is 16 grams of carbohydrates. Next up, we have some more candy here. This comes from Alan. Thanks, Alan, for writing your name on here. So these are all candies that were brought from the UK. And we got some Swizzlers Sweets, Scrumptious. Oh, it's a whole variety pack. Where's my scissors here? I gotta dig into this. 18 sweets, does it say? Oh, wow. Parma Violets. I've had these before. These are very weird tasting candies, and they smell weird. And just opening the package, I could smell these specifically. Yeah, I bet you my UK viewers and people from Ireland and stuff probably are like, I love those, or I hate those. They're weird tasting. They are weird tasting. They don't taste bad, and they're definitely candy. I don't hate these, if that's the right word. I kind of like them, actually. They're chalky and very interesting tasting. What's this here? Refreshers. None of this stuff is sold in the US at all, so it's kind of cool. We have a nice little selection here. Another lollipop of some kind, a couple more hearts. Neat assortment there. Very cool. Also in the box here, we got Chew-Its. I can't say I've ever had these. I mean, like I said, I've tried the Parma Violets before, but never had these. Kind of cool. I'll be looking forward to trying those. And we got Curly Whirly by Cadbury. So this will be chocolate, I am sure. 5-pack of these. Let's just take a look at the little, these are like mini bars, I'm sure, inside here. Are these chocolate? Yes, they are. Okay, I thought so, because Cadbury really only makes chocolate. Well, this is obviously some kind of caramel, I guess. Let's try. Very stuck on my teeth right now. So it's like a caramel in there with chocolate. Very good, very sweet, and very sticky. But Alan, thank you very much for bringing those all the way from the UK for me. And I don't think I caught the name of the viewer who gave these to me, and I don't think I have a picture either. I was looking through the photos of everything that's been sent to me, and I didn't see a picture of the viewer who gave these to me. So thanks very much for those. And we have some more candies here that another viewer gave to me, and these are actually low sugar candies, gummy bears, well, gummy worms and gummy bears. So thanks very much whoever gave these to me. Again, I don't think I caught your name because it was just so hectic. It was on Saturday. But yes, I absolutely love candy. And yeah, I did actually bring a bunch of candy with me in case I had low blood sugar, and I did have to eat it a few times. So it's always good to have some candy on hand. So yes, thanks very much, everyone. It's funny, the diabetic YouTuber who gets candy all the time from my viewers. I freaking love it. I absolutely love it. And yes, I may be diabetic, but I absolutely do get low blood sugar periodically, especially from rushing around and, you know, your blood sugar drops. I have to eat something like drink juice or eat candy. So it's great to have some of this stuff. And if I'm going to be eating candy, isn't it good to have awesome stuff from places around the world versus the boring stuff we just get in the US here? Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was digging around on the floor down there because there was another thing of candy I got here, and it's these Nikos, the original candy wafers. American candy since 1847, and I don't think I've ever had these. So let's try to open this up. I really want to know what these are like. Wow, they are like little sugar wafers, like you just pop it on your tongue. Let's try. Well, that's a very old school candy, and I have to say, I kind of like it. It's kind of weird, like these Parma Violets from the UK, weird and old school, and these are very much in the same boat as these, but they're neat. The one I had there was like a kind of an orange color. Didn't really taste like orange. There's obviously a whole bunch of different colors in here, so there's different flavors. I don't know if they all taste different or not, but yeah, it's just like condensed sugar with a little bit of flavor added to them, and this one's white. And yeah, it's kind of cool. You know, to be honest, The nice thing about these is if I ration them and I have low blood sugar, I can probably pop like 1 or 2 of these onto my tongue and get the carbs I need. Serving size, 1 roll. 1 roll? You're supposed to eat the whole thing? Yeah, okay, so that's odd. The serving size is the whole package. I don't think I would ever do that. 56 grams of carbs for the entire package. But who would eat this whole package? It's big. That's a lot, too much. But, you know, eat a few of these, it probably is a few grams of carbs, and that would be enough to kind of bring me out of a little bit of a slump, which is pretty awesome. Again, I don't think I caught the name of the viewer who gave this to me, so thanks very much. I think if you're watching, that is. These are pretty cool. I've never tried them before, and I don't even know where I can buy them, but I guess I never look at the candy aisle, so they're probably there in every store. I've just never noticed. The white one was like a mint flavor. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's still chalky and old school tasting, but I kind of like it. Okay, let's keep going here. Check this out. This was given to me by viewer Evan, picture here. And this is, I think, called a cross point, which is, I think, I mean, I guess it's done by hand. Like, I don't really know, but it's my channel logo with chips in the background. I love this. I had this on the table the entire weekend because this is so freaking cool to see. So it's really cool to see this kind of cool work done with hands. How is all the like subtle color changes done? That's what kind of blowing my mind here with this. So Evan, thank you very much for this. This is fantastic. I love this. Throughout the whole weekend when I had this on the table, people commented on it as well. Where'd you get that? That's really cool. So yeah, it was a little bit of a talking point. And like I said, I think this is gonna have to come with me to every single show I ever do in the future. It's not very big, so I can easily pack this in my bag, and it looks really nice on the table next to Rami and this towel and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Evan, again, thanks so much for this. And then speaking of things that were also done by hand, we have Amiga mouse pointers. And I think these are like little plastic beads that you melt somehow, maybe with an iron. I don't really know how that works exactly, but it creates physical pixel art. And we have the old Amiga 1.3, Kickstart 1.3 and earlier mouse pointer, and then the 2.0 and later mouse pointer, which is, you know, slightly more stylized with this curvy edges and things like that. Again, I don't have the name of the viewer who gave this to me, so I'm kind of bummed about that, but yeah, thanks very much. Super creative and really cool looking. So thanks for giving me these. Yeah, I just love these crafty things. So cool. All right, next up, we got this here from Jeff. And Jeff came up to me and mentioned that I'm always struggling with the worst crappy flush cutters. And I do have these junky clone ones that are just terrible. And these apparently are the real deal Knipex or Knipex? No, I think I would say Knipex. That's how I would say it. I assume they're German. Yes, there it is, Germany. They feel really nice, and I'm assuming it's nice, strong steel that's not gonna bend and get all crapped out or whatever, like those cheap ones I have. Copper and iron? I don't know, is that like a max quantity in the alloy that these are made out of? Is that what that means exactly? We have a barcode, and yeah. So I have finally a good quality set of flush cutters. And the funny thing is that right before I went to VCF, I bought these, which are the fake Play-Doh Model 170s here. And look at this, it's a 10-pack of them. And that's because I kept breaking the tips off them, and these were all like loose in the box. So yeah, these are just fake junk. I mean, they're not the worst because they're usually aligned properly, but what can happen is the tips break off these. And if only one tip breaks off, so you have like one pointy part, one not, when you try to get down there and cut like a chip leg or whatever, it doesn't work because, you know, you obviously need to have the cutter on both sides. So good quality on the bottom, crap quality on the top. And yeah, you can just tell by the way these look, there's a big difference. And actually, the ends are a lot shorter on the Knipex ones here. These are longer. Interesting. Anyhow, these cheap clone ones, they do work, and they're very inexpensive. In fact, when I ordered these, I think they were just like $1 each or something like that. So it was like 10 bucks for 10 of them. So they're pretty much disposable, meaning they break, you throw them in the trash, you get another one, and there you go. But it's frustrating to use them when they break, and not to mention the pieces of the metal can like fly in your eye and blind you and things like that. Luckily I wear glasses, so that kind of helps me out. But I probably need to, well, once I start to use these, the better ones, I'm probably realized these are just garbage and I should just stick to these, and then I'll just, you know, I don't know how much these cost, 15 bucks each or $20 or whatever, but if it's so much more durable than these, just for one, then I only need to have a couple spares on hand, and, you know, I will be less frustrated than using these junk ones. But yeah, I ordered these before I went to VCF. I got these from Jeff, and then these came. I picked these up today at the P.O. box. So there you go. But at least I have these. Maybe these could be like, that fly is still flying around down here. These could be like party gifts. I can give these to friends. I'm like, hey, look at this. Thanks for coming to my house. Here's a set of flush cutters. Anyways, the fly, whoa, it just like landed on me and scared me. Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for giving me those. And I'm looking forward to trying out some proper quality tools and not the usual junk that I use on the channel. Okay, so next up, and this is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna talk about on this video, is this board here. And this comes from Tim Cross here. So this is a tippy peb. And I don't 100% understand what the tippy peb is yet, but, well, I know what it is, but I don't know exactly what it can do. So this is a board that goes into the Texas Instruments peripheral expansion box, PEB. And then the PI is for Pi, as in Raspberry Pi, which you can screw onto the board right here, and it connects from the expansion header on the Pi over to this connector, and you plug this into your PEB box and in conjunction with the ROM. And let's see what this chip is here. Is that a Xilinx kind of FPGA? Yeah, it looks like it is, or a CPLD or whatever that is. That interfaces the Raspberry Pi directly to the PEB, which is for the TI. So I did a bit of poking around on the GitHub repo for this, and it's funny, the GitHub repo has lots of information, but yet it's really unclear on exactly what this can do. So what does adding a Raspberry Pi do for your TI? I'm assuming it like gets you on the network and maybe emulates a hard drive or something like that, but it's very unclear, and it only connects with this little connector here to the Pi, not the entire GPIO header. So I'm not quite sure. And so, yeah, the repo is really good about building it up, but it doesn't really talk about what it can do. So it feels like the people that came up with this probably anticipated that you already know a lot about TIs, and I don't, and then you could make heads or tails of like what it was saying on there, and I can't. So I'm gonna have to do quite a bit more reading on what exactly this can do. And I do have another PEB box, peripheral expansion box, that's for the TI. I have two now, and I need to test out the second one I got. I've never tested it out. So I think it would be a good opportunity when I do get around to testing that box, which has a bunch of random cards in it, and I have some other random cards in the other PEB. I need to like mix and match and figure out like what's the best, coolest PEB I can make. And then the extra PEB I'll just give away to someone local here in the community in Portland. The PEB, the tippy PEB though, will go into the one I keep. And then that means that I'll have that functionality of whatever this is available to me. So anyway, Tim, thanks though for giving this to me. Oh, there's a letter. Okay, let's check out the letter. I was gonna say I will check the tippy PEB out when I get to my PEB box, but let's see what the letter says. Hi Adrian, hope this note finds you well. I've been thinking of ways to contribute to the channel and have come across a relatively simple project that I could share. It's an older project for the TI. I already had the sidecar tippy PEB. Oh yeah, there's a version of this that just doesn't need the whole PEB box. It just plugs in the side of the machine. By Judamat, but he also created a full-size card for the PEB. The tippy card in conjunction with the Pi provides networking and floppy drive support. Oh, okay, well there we go. Oh, the battery just died on this camera here. I need to replace that battery. It charges off USB, but running the camera like this, like through HDMI capture, does drain the battery a little bit. And because the battery on this is getting old, on this Panasonic camera, then I need to obviously get a new one. So the tippy in conjunction with the Pi provides networking and floppy drive support for the TI. Here's the link to Jedi Matt's website for more information as well as other projects. There's a URL right here, and it says, about a year ago, I stumbled across a PEB for the TI and thought this would be a fun soldering project to tackle. I ordered 5 boards and the parts to build them. Oh, okay, cool. So that's why Tim had the extra one for me. The TI was my first home computer and brings back fond memories of my early computer experience. Hopefully you can experience this on your channel and shed some light on the great work Jedi Matt has produced. On a personal note, watching your channel over the years has provided me with the knowledge and curiosity to seek out early 8 and 16-bit computers and learn more than I ever knew was possible. This year, I even got to share VCF Midwest with my eldest daughter, who recently graduated college and is now a C++ programmer. We hope we get a chance to meet you. Thank you for the years of entertainment and guidance, Tim. And September 7th, 2024. Thanks for the very nice note, Tim. It was very nice to meet you there and your daughter. And like I said, I'll be experiencing the Tippy Peb when I get around to testing out the Peb, and then I can figure out exactly what this is all about. I'll check out that URL that you put in the letter here, and I'll be keeping the card and the letter together. And I'll probably be sending you an email asking you for advice on what to do with the TI exactly, because while I have a Peb that another viewer generously donated, I think a year or two ago, I plugged it in and tested it out, and it does work. I really don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to use the disk drive. I don't know how many games or things even came on the disk. So I'll probably need a little bit of help understanding how the whole Peb thing works. Well, I had one more thing that I was going to show in this video, but since the camera died, I don't want to wait for it to recharge. So I'll include this in the next video. And it looks like I have 4 more things that I brought back from VCF Midwest. And each one of those things is so cool and probably deserves its own video. So I may end up having to split this up. Even the next video, I might have to split it up into more than one part. Because yeah, some of this stuff here is so cool that it's going to need its own video, and these as well, and this here as well. So yeah, okay, well anyways, well I hope you enjoyed watching my recap, so to speak, of VCF Midwest 19. I had an absolute blast, like I said. Thank you so much to everyone who came up to me and chatted with me. I had such a great time. It was exhausting, but so worth it. But there is nothing like the face-to-face experience that we get as humans interacting with each other. And yep, I absolutely love it. And thanks to everyone who gave me stuff for this particular video, and thanks to everyone who gave me the stuff that's gonna be in the next video as well, or next videos. And I guess that's gonna be that. So stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.